Welcome back, my friend. This time for the total assault against Geburah, a new raid boss. Due to how new this boss is, it just released, and the availability of units to fight him, I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to cover insane difficulty today. The best I can bring you at the moment is extreme difficulty without any gacha exclusive 3-star units or borrowed units. First, let's go over the mechanics. Geburah is not a boss that you can brute force. You might look at his light armor and think, well, I might as well just bring Dress Hina, she will definitely make quick work of this guy. Wrong. During the fight against Geburah, all striker units, as well as feud summons and tactical support vehicles, will have a 75% reduction to their damage, meaning that they're gonna do peanuts, really. Instead, you should focus on doing damage via special students, such as Hibiki, Mashiro, Saya, and the newly released Uniform Karin. To help with that, all special students deal 80% increased damage. Additionally, all units' cost recovery is increased by 25%. More on that later. Another mechanic that you should pay attention to is the radiator that you find behind your units. The radiator has a meter, that is essentially its health. You can heal it to increase it, and it'll decrease once it takes damage. The heater will provide a myriad of bonuses provided you can sustain its heat. At less than 30% HP, the radiator will provide no bonuses. Between 30 and 70% HP, the radiator will heal every ally every 6 seconds for 5000 HP. Above 70% HP, the radiator will heal every ally for 7000 HP every 6 seconds, as well as give them a damage reduction of 25%. Note that the students will not heal the radiator through basic skills, so you have to force it through EX skills. The radiator is also immune to barrier, so you cannot provide it an extra HP bar. A small addendum that I should note, he does work with Idol Mari's excess healing mechanic. As we'll explain a little bit further, you note that the idols were handmade for this fight, but more on that later. The radiator will also enter an overload state once it reaches 100% HP. While it's overloaded, it'll increase all allies' cost recovery by 500 points, their attack by 30%, and their critical hit damage by 60%. Once the radiator enters this overloaded state, it will constantly lose HP. The longer the radiator stays overloaded, the more HP it'll lose, and the faster it'll lose HP. This will persist until the radiator falls under 30% again, which allows you to renew the cycle. Geburah has an attack in the form of a laser blast. The laser blast will hit all units 3 times, dealing increasing amounts of damage. Once the laser ends, a pillar of ice will be summoned in the middle of the field. While the pillar of ice is on the field, every unit will constantly take damage. They'll have their defense reduced by 45%, and they'll only receive 1 HP as healing until it is destroyed. Once the pillar is summoned, it'll be invincible for 2.5 seconds, as well as gaining a barrier that'll last 20 seconds. After these 20 seconds, the barrier will dispel, and the pillar will take 70% of its HP as damage. Your units will not target the ice pillar. Since all your striker units will be heavily debuffed, you should either bring someone with high attack power to destroy the pillar, or use a special student. Once the ice pillar is destroyed, the radiator will gain a 100% buff to their recovery boost, and all allies will gain 200% increased healing. Geburah also has a very high defense stat, granting him 60% damage reduction. As such, units that can apply a defense down debuff provide high value in this fight. Once Geburah reaches 60% HP, he will enter Phase 2. Not much changes during Phase 2. If the Pillar of Ice is on the field, it'll be instantly broken. During Phase 2, his ETG gauge will start filling. Once it's completely full, he will pull a fucking iceberg on top of you and deal very high damage. On Insane difficulty or higher, a new mechanic appears. Every unit will have a hypothermia gauge. The hypothermia gauge has 10 slots, and while standing still, all units will fill up 1 slot every 5 seconds. If the hypothermia gauge completely fills up, the units get frozen, and they are effectively dead. Or even worse, they will not attack, they will take increased damage, and they will only heal 1 HP. Not only that, their EX skill cards will still be drawn, but they cannot be used. meaning that if at least 3 units get frozen, you will not be able to do anything. This freeze effect from the hypothermia gauge does not count as a debuff, but as a crowd control effect. As such, it cannot be cleansed via Mari or Chinatsu. Also, on insane difficulty or higher, Geburah gains an attack type. He now deals mystic damage, which should be enough to discourage you from using special armor students. But there's an attenuant here. Geburah also gains a 75% increase to his mystic effectiveness, meaning that if he matches the element, he will deal not 100%, not 200%, but 275% damage. Another mechanic that is heavily explored during the fight is cost recovery. Every student has a base cost recovery of 700 points. As you can see in your lower right corner, the cost bar constantly regenerates while any student is on the field. A single cost bar is equivalent to 10,000 points. So without any modifiers, 6 students, 4 strikers and 2 special students, each providing 700 points of cost recovery, means that you generate 4200 cost recovery every second. There are plenty of mechanics in this fight that boost cost recovery, allowing you to increase your rotation speed or cast more skills in an attempt to overcome the boss's mechanics. As I mentioned earlier, it seems like the idol units were designed specifically for this fight. Idol Mine is a tank that can reposition everyone in the field, protecting them from the hypothermia. She can also reduce Geburah's attack, making the fight more survivable. Idol Mari can heal the radiator as well as provide excess HP, meaning that it'll stay running for longer. She can also passively heal other allies. Idol Sakurako provides massive buffs to special students, meaning that their attacks will hit much harder. With all the mechanics out of the way, let's move on to the fight.
解しないで。これでいいのよね。
And that should be all. Thank you for watching and go get that gold.